Chapter 1. The Dream Begins. Hi, I'm Bill, and for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to travel around the world. I used to imagine seeing famous landmarks, meeting new people, and tasting foods I'd never heard of before. This dream of mine started when I was a kid, and I decided early on that someday I'd make it happen. To turn my dream into reality, I had to work hard. Really hard. I picked up extra shifts, saved every dollar, and even skipped nights out with friends to save money for my trip. My friends thought I was crazy. They'd say, "Bill, you're missing all the fun." But I didn't mind. I had my eyes on the prize. I also knew I needed to improve my English. Speaking English would make it easier to communicate, so I practiced every day. I listened to podcasts, watched movies, and even read books in English. It wasn't easy, but I knew it would pay off when I was out in the world. And guess what? It did. Chapter 2. Bonjour, Paris! Finally, the day came. My first stop, Paris, France. As soon as I arrived, I was blown away. The Eiffel Tower was even more incredible in person. I walked around the city, taking in the sights, sounds, and smells, people drinking coffee at cute cafes, the scent of fresh bread in the air. I even learned a few words in French like bonjour and merci, but most of the time, I used English to chat with other travelers and locals. They were happy to talk with me, and I made a few friends right there in Paris. Chapter 3. Ancient Wonders of Rome. Next, I went to Rome, Italy. Rome felt like walking through history. I saw the Colosseum, tasted authentic pizza, and explored old streets full of art and life. Italians love to talk with passion, even using their hands to express themselves. It was a lot of fun, and English came in handy since many people in the tourist areas spoke it well. Chapter 4. Stepping onto the Great Wall. After Europe, I flew to China, where I explored Beijing. Standing on the Great Wall of China was one of the most amazing moments of my life. The wall stretched on and on, winding through the hills and mountains. I also visited the Forbidden City, learning about China's rich history and seeing its impressive architecture. In China, I learned a few phrases like ni hao, hello, and xiexia, thank you, and I used translation apps for help. Many younger people understood some English, especially in tourist areas, which helped me a lot. Chapter 5. High-Tech Tokyo. My next stop was Tokyo, Japan. Japan was so different from Europe. Tokyo was fast-paced, with bright lights and high-tech gadgets everywhere. But it also had beautiful, quiet gardens and old temples where I could breathe and relax. I tried Japanese tea in a traditional tea ceremony and even visited some shrines. I learned simple phrases like konnichiwa and arigato, but English was enough to get around. People were kind and patient, even if their English wasn't perfect. In Japan, I was excited to try hiking. The mountains were beautiful, and the hiking trails felt peaceful and calm, surrounded by trees and soft moss on the ground. I started my hike in the early morning to catch the sunrise, and it was absolutely worth it. As I walked, I saw small streams and shrines along the trail, places where people stopped to pray or rest. The air was so fresh, and each step took me deeper into the beauty of Japan's nature. When I reached the top of the trail, I could see the whole valley below, with tiny villages and even a glimpse of Mount Fuji in the distance. It felt like I'd found a hidden piece of Japan, and I took a deep breath, knowing this memory would stay with me forever. Chapter 6: Island Adventures in Thailand. My journey then took me to Thailand. Here, I found myself on an island with white sandy beaches and crystal clear water. I tried pad thai and mango sticky rice at a street market. Delicious. I even went snorkeling and saw colorful fish right under me. The locals were so friendly, and they smiled even when we couldn't always understand each other perfectly. Chapter 7: Lights, Camera, Action. After Asia, it was time for my next big stop, the United States. I had always wanted to see New York City, so I was thrilled to finally get there. The energy was amazing. I visited Times Square, took a ferry to see the Statue of Liberty, and strolled around Central Park. Then, in Los Angeles, I got to see the Hollywood sign and try food from the famous food trucks. I felt like I was in a movie. Speaking English made everything easier, and I loved hearing the different American accents. Chapter 8: The Land of Maple Leaves. I was ready for the next stop, Canada. I had heard a lot about Toronto and Vancouver, so I decided to check them out. In Toronto, I visited the CN Tower, one of the tallest buildings I'd ever seen. Then I took a trip to Niagara Falls. The sight of that massive waterfall was unforgettable. In Vancouver, I explored nature trails, saw beautiful lakes, and even spotted some wildlife. Everyone I met in Canada was warm and welcoming. I couldn't leave Canada without experiencing a hockey game. Canadians love their hockey, so I joined the crowd to cheer on a local team. The arena was packed with fans wearing jerseys and waving flags, and the energy was incredible. As soon as the game started, everyone jumped to their feet, shouting and cheering with every goal and close call. It was fast and intense, and even though I didn't know all the rules, I found myself getting swept up in the excitement. After the game, I even got to talk to a few fans who shared their love for hockey with me. It was the perfect way to experience Canadian culture, and I left the arena feeling like I'd just been part of something special. Chapter 9: Rhythms of Rio. One of my final stops was Brazil in South America. In Rio de Janeiro, I saw the massive Christ the Redeemer statue and enjoyed Copacabana Beach. The people were always smiling and ready to help, even if we had a bit of a language barrier. I tried Brazilian food and learned some samba dance moves. There was music everywhere. It felt like a giant celebration. Chapter 10: The Journey Home. After months of traveling, I finally returned home. I felt different, like I had learned something from each country and every person I met. My journey showed me that the world is full of wonderful places and people, and I couldn't wait to see more of it. My dream had come true, and I knew that with hard work, anyone's dreams could come true too.